My name is Justin Bowden. I'm the head football coach at Shelby Middle School, located in Shelby, North Carolina. Born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, graduate of Tuskegee University, and I'm here rocking with Grandosiá TV.
Welcome back to Grandosiá TV. We here rocking with my guy, Coach Bowden. Is that any lineage to Bobby Bowden, maybe? But we will see. But we rocking with my man, Coach Bowden. Make sure before we get started, you subscribe, like, hit the notification bell so every time Grandosiá TV go live, you will get the new shows and updates. Right now, today, we're going to talk with Coach Bowden about football in Shelby, football during the COVID season. Even we're going to talk about what is missing in today's game with middle school kids when they're coming up from the Part 1 ranks. Do they hold up to what their stature and weight is when they say they ranked in the nation? So these are many different things that we're going to talk about today. So with that being said, Coach Bowden, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here. You know, we're in the middle of our current season right now in middle school. You know, we're just trying to navigate, like you said, playing ball during COVID. But anytime we can play ball, I'm happy. So, you know, I'm in a good mood.
So normally we understand that football normally is a fall sport.
Right.
What is it? How is it different playing in the springtime?
It's very different. You know, obviously, like you said, football is used to being playing in the fall. So, you know, you're used to that kind of weather perfectly around mid-70s. Obviously now with the spring, you know, we're playing, it's a lot colder. It's been raining a lot. The ground is different. You know, you're moving different. And obviously because of COVID, everything is different. So, you know, it's still 11 on 11. You know, you still have the same rules or whatever, but playing in the winter is a lot different. You know, it gets darker quicker. So you don't, you know, some people may not have lights like we do at our middle school. Home field anyway, but you know it's colder. That's the main thing, and you know sometimes kids be acting a little soft because it's cold, but you know still football though. You still got to play.
Now, if I remember, man, I've been knowing you for a while. I know you was coaching at the high school ranks. You got your job here as a head coach with Shelby Middle. What is it about that Shelby environment when they in the middle school they're good, they go to high school they used to winning? What are y'all doing up in Shelby that makes this winning culture so successful?
You know, I can honestly say, coming from the outside looking in, I had always heard about Shelby. You know, even when I was in middle school and high school growing up in Charlotte, you know, I had always heard how good Shelby was. And now that I'm on this side of the fence, you know, I can honestly say that Shelby is a different place. I mean, you know, I can just, you know, I'm just talking about the middle school program that I work at. I tell people all the time, it's not your normal middle school.
Gotcha.
You know, it's not your everyday middle school. You know, we lift, we condition, we watch film. We got spring programs, spring workouts, summer workouts, winter workouts. And those kids come in with that expectation, knowing that it means more to play at Shelby than other middle schools. And, you know, it's not really about being arrogant or thinking we're better than everybody else, but they understand that once they leave the middle school and go to the high school, what the expectation is. And both programs work, you know, directly together. You know, me and Coach Wilbanks at the high school pretty much talk every other day, and we're on the same page. And, you know, we have the thing planned out for each class and how they're going to transition. You know, it's not for everybody to play there. I will say that. You know, we ask a lot of our kids, so it's not for everybody. But you know, it's the results speak for itself. And I mean, I like to tell people nobody works harder than us. You know, at middle school or high school as a staff, and it shows up on game day. So
are you telling me right now that Shelby is the SEC of football and everybody else is basically where they fit in at? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say Shelby is. I would say Cleveland County is the SEC of football. You know, no disrespect to Gaston County or Charlotte Mecklenburg or anything like that. You know, it's good football played everywhere. You know, it's always going to be talent everywhere. But, you know, Cleveland County being so small, I mean, the fact that you had pretty much 3 teams that was playing one game away from state last year, speaks for itself. And, it's a small number of high schools. It's only 4 high schools, 4 middle schools. So, the talent is pretty much evenly dispersed. And, it's just different up there. It's different in Cleveland County.
So when the young youth rising 7th graders, if they're watching, their parents watching my show right now, and they like, man, I'm looking for a middle school to go to, even if I have to move, what would you tell them about what are they going to get as far as a program and as in a coach coming from you?
I can only speak for my program. I would say this, first and foremost, your kid will be coached. I think there's a lot of organizations and youth football and other middle schools where it turns into, we're just going to try to out-athlete people, or we're just going to get the most athletic kid the ball, and we're going to focus on that. I always pride myself as a head coach, and I tell my staff, even when I interview new staff, we coach every kid, no matter of their athletic ability. And so with that being said, we coach a kid hard. It's no love lost. It's not personal. When you do a good job, I'm going to love you up. When you're lazy, I'm going to let you know about it. But I will say this, we're genuine. We care about the kids. We do things the right way. And, it's like I said, at the end of the day, we want to win, but we're all about getting you to that next step and making sure you're ready when you do head down the street to high school. Like I said, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not Pop Warner. There's no guarantee you have to play all the time. But I tell my kids all the time, attitude and effort, as long as you give me both of those, I'll find a job for you on game day.
Now, you said something key just now. You said something about we building a program and we're not like an organization. So when these kids come in and they got their chest all pumped out, because everybody been hyping them up to be ranked in the state, what is some things that you see that's like, they must not have been playing against nobody? Like, what is some things missing in the game that's translating over to the middle school?
A lot of these youth, you said it, organizations, there's a difference between running an organization and a program. Main thing is money. A lot of these youth organizations, you may have to pay for travel, or you may have to pay for uniforms, or, anything of that nature. And a lot of these youth organizations are hand-picking these kids from pretty much a wide range of areas. It's easy to say, if you live in a city like Charlotte and you say, I'm going to pick, the 20 best 10-year-old kids I can find in Charlotte. Great. I'm pretty sure you probably should have a really good team. And then a lot of those things, man, that I could say, a lot of those kids, when they come from these youth organizations, you'll be very surprised how little they have actually been coached. Like, kids come and not know how to get in a proper stance, or kids don't know how to engage blocking and get off blocking. Kids don't know how to run routes. We're not asking you to come in, and I'm not asking you to come in and be the greatest wide receiver of all time or the best center of all time. But a lot of these youth organizations, I just feel they're really missing the mark when it comes to teaching basic techniques on how to play the game of football. And that's something that, unfortunately, I don't coach youth football. Right. I'm not saying every youth coach is like that. There's some great youth coaches out there. But that's one of the problems that I see about these quote-unquote youth travel football teams.
That's one thing I recognize, too, with these youth programs. Like, it's a word that I like to throw out there, and I guess I get your opinion on this word as well. I see a lot of them, they do have some of the great talent. They do develop certain players, but not everybody. And sometimes I think if you develop all 22 or all 34, when they go down to certain cities like Florida or Georgia, you have a better chance because you can go deep into your roster. The development that takes place in Shelby, explain that to me.
Well, for us, I'm just going to give you, typically, when you come in, the middle school starts in 7th grade. 9 times out of 10, I already know who you are before you even come to, our program. And, it may be from a youth organization where you said something, you said they kind of centralize maybe around a few players. And, you may, I hear a kid come up and he say, oh, I'm ranked the 10th running back in the nation. And, I got this highlight tape on YouTube and, I've done this and my team did this and we traveled there. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not doubting your talent and, but a lot of that goes hand in hand in thinking that I kind of sometimes feel like it's an unrealistic type of accolade. Because first and foremost, a lot of these youth games, they got cameras on the field, which in the first place is completely unrealistic and it's not going to happen at any middle school or high school field. Now, I'm not talking about you filming from the press box. I'm talking about like a guy literally behind the line of scrimmage filming one kid as he plays.
Right.
So that right there lets me know that it's not realistic in that sense.
Right.
Like, yeah, you still keep the score and you're still playing. I understand that. But if you look closely at a lot of those videos, the one kid, and he's probably really good, don't get me wrong, but how good are the other 10 kids on the team?
Right.
Tell me how good they are. How good is the other team? And, and I've been and I've watched youth games and I see things and, you see kids, specifically if I want to be specific as possible, the line play. I mean, a lot of these organizations, they say, I'm going to go get the biggest kids I can find and I'm going to just plant them in the middle. I'm not going to really tell them what to do, except for I just want you to be big. That's it. Just be big, and we're going to look real good getting off the bus. Now, you may not know what you're doing, but you're going to look like you know what you're doing. And this running back is going to be cutting 10, 12 times back across the field and doing all that. So that's one of the things that I have for us. And when you come into our program and, you tell me those type of things, I hear you. I recognize your skills. But when you get here, you got to understand, you're going to have to prove it to me.
Right.
You're going to have to prove it to me. You're going to prove it to the offensive coordinator. You got to prove it to the players that's already in the program because they've been through it and they know what the expectation is. And, I'm not saying that those kids can't play and those kids, don't have a place in the game of football. And some of them, I hope they go on to be great college football players and pros. But I guarantee you there's a lot of kids, if you go back and look them up from, different youth football shows and all these highlight tapes, just take a look at where they are right now.
And see, and it was a kid. I don't know when he got drafted. I think it was like 4 years ago. He played no touches in Pop Warner. He played no touches in the middle school level. He didn't play 9th, 10th grade. I mean, he was on the team, but he didn't get in. His junior year, he always sat behind somebody. He trained.
Yeah.
But that junior and senior year, I think he went to the University of Oregon. And he went number 4 in the draft. So that just showed me, like, dude, I just feel bad for the unrealistic expectation, like you said, that they ranked so high.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fizzle out because in the middle school, like you say, you got to lift weights. You got to run.
Yeah.
You got to condition. You got to do so much. And I think some of these kids be like, well, my talent going to take me because I've been kids since they were small.
Right.
And I think people tend to realize, too, just because you was good in Pop Warner, that other kid got bigger and stronger too.
Yes.
So when it's time for him to step in as a 7th grader, he better than you now.
Yeah. And then another thing to think about, like you said, you brought up you're being ranked in the nation. Who's ranking you? Who is the guy that's ranking you? What's his credentials? Where did he play?
Right.
It's like being the guy, like you hear out there, I'm an armchair GM. I can think on my couch, I think who the Panthers should draft. But I don't get paid to make that decision. I got my own opinion. So, I just would like to know who is ranking these kids and, who's their credentials and all these type of deals. But, at the end of the day, it's football and I want everyone to play. I want every kid to be successful. But sometimes when you get to school ball, it's a humbling experience for a lot of these kids. It's a humbling experience and they kind of realize your talent is only going to take you so far, but there's always going to be someone that's willing to work harder.
Yes.
Someone that's working when you're thinking, oh, you just got it like that. And unfortunately, I tell you, a lot of kids come in like that from youth ball.
And the other thing, too, that I wish, and I'm going to ask you about this, what do you think about when these kids come in from the youth game, the mental preparation? Are they mentally prepared to run a real offense now? Because if you got somebody that's just fast on the outside, who I know gonna beat that corner because nobody been teaching DB skills like that.
Exactly.
What do you think about the mental preparation? Now it's like, man, I can't get open because this dude is just as good as I am.
Yes. And that's really a huge thing because a lot of these travel teams don't practice every day. You know, you may go play in a tournament in Atlanta or Florida on the weekends, but you got kids coming from 20 different locations that you may have only practiced once, twice, 3 times a week. So then on game day, you're playing against somebody who probably is in the same boat as you. And like you said, you end up with just kids, well, I'm going to just be faster than that DB, and he's not really being coached up. So my pure speed is going to allow me to beat him. Well, then it translated in middle school where somebody is watching film on you and they got 5 days to prepare. It might not go as easy as you think it's going to go. You know, so the mental preparation, and you may not be able to understand, you know, if you're a quarterback, how to go through reads and progressions, and you may not understand, you know, game planning throughout the week and watching film and trying to find, you know, weaknesses and strengths and how to exploit that. And a lot of these kids, I think they just show up on game day and they think, okay, we're going to run jet sweep left. I'm going to be faster than the other 11. I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to go score, which sometimes that works. But like you said, the mental preparation has got to increase the higher up you play. The longer you play and the different level you go up and play, I mean, it really becomes you have to prepare mentally just as much as physically, especially in the game of football.
So not too many people be mad at me. Grandosiá TV. We're going to move on from that because that can be a sensitive thing because a lot of Palm Water coaches, man, listen, when I put this on 704 Gridiron, there's going to be some people who probably leave some nasty comments, but it's okay.
Oh, that's all good. It's all good.
I just tell them to come on over here and jump on Grandosiá TV. But moving on, man, we're gonna transition with the game of football too. What do you think about where the game is going as far as targeting hits, targeting plays? Sometimes I think referees just be real happy with it.
Yeah.
And do you see any of that targeting inside the middle school level or even at a high school level when you at the high school games?
I think, you know, the game first and foremost, they're trying to make it safer, which I'm fine with. You know, it's a violent game played by violent individuals, you know. But I also, in the same boat, think that's what you signed up for.
Right.
You know, if you didn't want contact, go play golf. Go play tennis. Just being honest, football is a contact sport. It's been that way since the game was invented. You know, equipment's come a long way and safety's come a long way. You know, I think it's definitely being geared more towards the offensive side of the ball. You hear people make the case, you know, you can't breathe on quarterbacks now without, you know, somebody throwing a flag on you. With the game going to more of a spread style, being able to play in space is a lot more important nowadays. I'm not saying that you don't have teams that want to line it up and just run the ball. But I think as far as like the contact thing is at the end of the day, it's a contact sport. And like I said, it's catered towards the offense. There's still a place for defense. Don't get me wrong. I love defense. I started as a D coordinator. And I don't think that it's going to get any easier for the defense moving forward. It's not, unfortunately. And, you know, I talked to one of my other friends who coaches in college, and he said it's basically like a war on defense right now in football. You know, it's very hard to coach kids up because as defensive coordinators, you're teaching your kids to play fast, play physical. You know, if you make a mistake, make it 100 miles an hour. You know, be aggressive. And then now it seems like every time you do that, you know, it's a penalty, it's a flag, it's targeting, it's unsportsmanlike, it's, you know, hitting with the crown of your helmet. And, you know, it's hard on defenses out there. But unfortunately, that's just the way the game is going. And, you know, I still love it. You know, it's still the game I love. And, you know, I think, you know, sometimes it's a little ridiculous with the penalties.
Oh, yes.
But, you know, it's just something you got to adjust to, and we got to coach with it.
That's one thing I do hate for. I always tell people, man, listen, if you got a son playing football, you better sign him up for offense because defense.
Yeah.
Listen, you will lose a job. I mean, I think the guy from the Kansas City Chiefs, he's getting a really bad rap in the offseason, even though he's a free agent because of some of the defensive woes he had in the Super Bowl, number 21, I forget his name. Yeah. But it just lets you know, like, he just couldn't adapt to the new rules because he was so used to playing a certain way. Yeah. But it is what it is with that. But my thing down with you, where do you see yourself in the next coming seasons as things play out? Are you trying to move up to the high school level? Are you going to ride this thing out in middle school for a while? Do you see yourself, because you're still a young guy, so do you see yourself eventually growing and getting to that college level?
I think so. Eventually, you know, I'm very happy where I'm at because I also teach in the building, which is a good thing and a totally different set of problems with being a teacher. But I mean, I love coaching middle school ball. You know, it's my first head coaching gig, and I understand what it is. I don't think it's, you know, prime time NFL Monday Night Football. I understand it's not even Friday night, you know, high school football. But I think there's a place for it. I think it's important. You know, I like where I'm at in the chain of things and getting kids ready to go play at Shelby High. Future, I mean, I would like to get back to high school because that's where I started. Maybe even college. I don't know. You know, I don't know. But I would say right now I'm happy coaching middle school football. You know, I love it for what it is. Like I said, I don't think I'm better than any youth coach or high school coach or anything like that. You know, I like coaching the middle school ball. I like the teaching. You know, I like getting the kids ready to go to high school. And, you know, I take it serious. You know, I like I said, I coach them hard. But yeah, I like where I'm at though. I do.
So for all my young athletes that's listening right now, what advice do you have as far as they ain't been a student athlete first, and what it's going to take for them to really maximize their talent?
But I mean, you said it. You're a student athlete. You know, the saying, no books, no ball, no grades, no ball. You know, we have a lot of athletes that don't make it because of their academics. So, you know, if I'm giving you advice as a young player coming up, you know, even if you're not playing football, if you're playing, you know, any sport, you know, make sure your academics is always good. Take it just as serious as you do the game that you love to play. You know, if you're really competitive in football, you should be just as competitive as you are in the classroom. Because grades are always, you know, you go off and you want to use football as a tool to get a free education. You know, I think I saw a kid, I forgot where, I saw it on like TikTok, but it said, you know, grinding for a free education. It was something along that line as a football shirt. It didn't say I was trying to go D1 football. It's like I was trying to get a D1 education or grinder, something along those lines. I can't remember. But I thought that shirt was really good and powerful, and, you know, it spoke volumes because at the end of the day, you're only going to be able to play for so long. You know, if you're fortunate enough to play Division I football and go to the NFL, which I was not. My career ended in high school. So, you know, if I was fortunate enough to go to college and play in the NFL, eventually you're not going to be able to play forever. You know, but the education, you know, lasts forever. So always make sure your academics is just as A1 as, you know, you put forth on the field, and you'll be fine. You'll be good.
Yeah, you never want to be that guy that's at the corner store talking about what he used to do.
Right.
You never want to be that guy, man.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be on the corner like, bro, I used to be a bad boy back in the day, man. It's one of the things, like, you definitely got to get those books done. But for the students who don't, you be on the sideline.
Yeah.
Don't have nothing else to look forward to. So.
And it's a lot of guys like that, man, that used to say, you know, they'll come back to the games on Friday nights, and, you know, they'll say, man, I remember when I used to be out there, and, you know, me and son such and such, you know, we was out there on Friday nights, and yeah, you used to be. Yeah, you used to be out there, and now you up here standing next to us. Drinking the beers. Yeah, you know, talking about what it used to be. You know, and like I said, man, you know, make sure your academics is good, man. Make sure that is straight, and, you know, it's okay to live in the past. We all had a past when it came to football. But, you know, that's where it's left at. It's in the past. So make sure you're securing yourself for after football, because everybody's not going to D1, everybody's not going to the NFL. So, you know, just make sure you got a plan if you don't make it.
And I will say this, even though you don't go D1, NFL still can find you D2, D3.
Oh, yeah,
so don't knock those out. And
absolutely, yeah.
I told somebody the other day, and I'm going to get this going to be the last thing we talk about, because I know you're a very busy man. But I tell kids nowadays, if you want to make the NFL, if you want to make college, no matter what division, training, and accessibility to send things out is way easier now for kids than it's ever been before. Because the technology is different now. The way you lift, the way you train, the way you prepare. Yeah. So in your mind, if a kid come to you and say he want to play football, but he's saying, but I don't train nowhere, do it make you think twice? Because right now, training is everywhere.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, like you said, you can, if you come to me and say you want to play football and you don't have a place to train. You can train literally anywhere. First and foremost, we all got access to the internet at some point. You can look up things to do around the house on YouTube, and you can train. You don't have to go to a world-class facility and an athletic, performance institute in your hometown in order to train to be able to play. Now, if you have access to those, great. You should take advantage of them. But if you really want to make it, there's always stuff you could do around the house. There's always stuff you can do outside of your school or anything like that. And like you said, as far as, the different day and age and, being able to train and send stuff out, social media is huge. It's almost become like its own recruiting tool. I know for us, we make kids, you have a Twitter account, we make them put your height and weight up there and the class that you graduating in and your GPA. Because that's ultimately, because you see kids on social media when they're getting recruited by these schools, they got their height, weight, GPA, where you play at. Maybe you have a link to your Huddle account, your highlight tape, which is good, because social media is a great way to put yourself out there. If you got a highlight tape, you can have a highlight tape and you can literally send it to 50 coaches with one click. Easily. And now your name is out there and, they look at your tape and, you can send a highlight tape to Nick Saban. I could. That don't mean I'm going to get an offer from Alabama, but I can send it to him, right. But that don't mean somebody else doesn't see it who might want to offer you.
You may not send it to somebody else that's
right.
better fit.
Correct. So I'm a firm believer on, like I said, if you could play, you could play. Like you say, you don't got to go to the biggest high school in the state. You don't have to go to the Clemsons or Alabama. if you can play, somebody will find out that you can play and somebody will come get you to play for them if they feel like you can help them. But, social media is a big thing and, training, like I said, that can be done anywhere. All types of training, mental training, physically, like I said, you don't have to have the greatest weight room in the world or anything like that. But as long as you got the attitude and effort, you can train and you'll get there.
So if any parents are looking to get their kids your way, how can they find you? Can we find you on social media anywhere?
Oh, yeah. We have our team page at Shelby Middle FB 2020 for our middle school football page. So feel free to look us up. A lot of good stuff on there. And, if you live in Shelby, we don't recruit nobody. So you got to live in Shelby. A lot of people may not believe that, but it's all good. You gotta live there. We're not a charter school. We're not a private school. So yeah.
There you go. With that being said, man, we want to thank you here at Grandosiá TV for you stopping by and sharing your knowledge with us. At the same time, everybody out there, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get all live up-to-date videos when we bring that great information to you. And like I say, we'll get with you on the next time we come live.
That's it.